Maya arrived at the community music school before sunrise, just like every morning. The halls were quiet, the lights were soft, and only the echo of her footsteps moved through the empty building. She liked these hours the most. When the school was empty, she could breathe. She could think. She could even dream for a little while. She pushed her cleaning cart slowly toward the large rehearsal room, the one with the grand piano that always caught her eye. Every day, she paused for a moment just to look at it. The smooth black surface, the shining keys, the curves that looked like they were carved by magic itself. She often wondered how it felt to play a real piano. Not the broken keyboard she kept hidden under her bed at home. A real instrument. A real sound. That morning, something felt different. Maybe it was because the sun was rising through the window in a soft gold color. Maybe it was because the school felt even quieter than usual. Or maybe it was because she carried too many heavy feelings inside her chest, and they needed some way to escape. She put down her mop, walked closer to the piano, and touched one key gently. The sound filled the room like a warm breath. She felt her heart pull closer. She pressed another key, then another. Soon, a soft melody began to form, slow and simple, but full of emotion. Something inside her felt alive again, like a light turning back on after years of darkness. She closed her eyes and let her fingers move, even though she knew she should not be touching the instrument. It was wrong. It was against school rules. But for that one small moment, she wanted to feel like she belonged in this world too. She wanted to feel music again, like she did when she was a little girl, and her mother used to sit beside her, guiding her hands. Then the door slammed open. Maya jumped in fear. The sound she had created vanished instantly, replaced by the angry voice of Mr. Collister, the strictest piano instructor at the school. He was known for his sharp tongue and colder heart. His students feared him more than they respected him. And now his angry eyes were fixed on her. "What do you think you're doing?" he shouted. "You're a janitor, not a musician. Stick to cleaning." The words hit Maya harder than any slap. She stepped away from the piano as if it had suddenly burned her hands. Her heart began to pound. She lowered her head and whispered that she was sorry, even though the apology tasted bitter. She had done nothing wrong, but she knew she had no power to defend herself. Not in this place. Not in front of him. Mr. Collister continued talking, saying things she had heard many times before. Things about how people like her should not touch expensive instruments. How she should stay in her place. How she would never understand real music. Maya stood silently, trying to swallow the pain. She kept her face calm, but her heart felt heavy and bruised. He turned and walked out, leaving her with the broken pieces of her courage. She waited until the hallway was empty, then picked up her mop again. Her hands were trembling. The piano now felt like a forbidden world she would never be allowed to enter. She finished cleaning the room with slow movements, each stroke of the mop carrying the weight of his words. When her shift ended, she walked home in silence. The streets looked the same as always, but inside her, everything felt different. She reached her small apartment, closed the door, and sat on the floor beside the old keyboard under her bed. She pulled it out, the dust rising like small ghosts around her. She stared at it for a long moment. Then she began to cry. She cried because she felt small. She cried because she felt invisible. But most of all, she cried because she hated that she believed him, even for a second. After minutes of silence, she wiped her tears and placed her fingers on the old keys. The sound was weak and uneven, but it still carried something true. Maya took a deep breath. She promised herself she would not let anyone decide what she could or could not dream. Not anymore. When Maya woke up the next morning, her eyes were still swollen from crying. She looked at the old keyboard again, lying on the floor beside her bed like a tired friend who had stayed up the whole night with her. The apartment was quiet, too quiet. And for a moment she wondered if maybe Mr. Collister's words were right. Maybe she really was just a janitor and nothing more. Maybe touching the piano was nothing but a dream pretending to be real. But then her fingers brushed the keys again, and a soft note rose into the room. Even though the sound was small, it still brought warmth to her chest. Her mother used to tell her, "Music listens to your heart even when people don't." The memory alone was enough to push her back to her feet. She wiped her face, tied her hair, and prepared for another long day at the school. When she arrived, the hallways were filled with students rushing to their lessons. Most of them barely noticed Maya, though she recognized every face, every smile, every nervous shuffle. She had watched them grow over the years. She had seen some arrive full of fear and leave full of talent. She had witnessed broken voices turn into confident singers and clumsy fingers turn into graceful pianists. But no one ever noticed her. Except one girl. Lily. Lily was a bright, cheerful 17-year-old student with curly hair and big dreams. Unlike the others, she always greeted Maya with warmth, never with the dismissive tone many students used around staff. Lily often stayed late to practice, and whenever Maya passed by, Lily would flash her a smile as if inviting her into the world of music. Today, Lily noticed something different. Maya moved with slower steps. Her shoulders looked heavy. Her eyes were distant, as if she was trapped inside her own thoughts. "Maya?" Lily called gently. "Are you okay?" Maya forced a smile and nodded. "Just tired," she said. But Lily had seen that kind of tiredness before on students who had been told they weren't good enough, on children who were pushed too hard by parents, on people who carried silent heartbreak. Later that afternoon, when the school grew quieter and classes ended, Lily walked past the empty rehearsal room and paused. She saw Maya inside, slowly wiping the piano with a soft cloth. But this time, the way Maya touched the piano was different. There was sadness in her movements. Lily stood outside the door, watching silently. Then she heard something, a small sound, a single note. Maya had pressed one key again. Lily held her breath, afraid to scare her away. Maya touched another key, then another. Each note was quiet, as if she feared the air itself might judge her. But the melody that began to form was gentle and beautiful, so full of emotion that Lily felt goosebumps along her arms. It was not the loud, polished sound of trained pianists. It was pure, honest. It came from a place deeper than talent. It came from pain, hope, and long-hidden dreams. Maya finished quickly and stepped back, scared she might get caught again. She didn't know Lily had been standing there. She didn't know anyone had heard her heart speaking through music. For the rest of the day, Lily could not stop thinking about that melody. It kept replaying in her mind, like a secret calling her attention. She knew what she heard was special. She knew what she heard was rare. A janitor with a gift like that? How long had she been hiding it? Lily decided she needed proof. Not because she doubted Maya, but because she felt the world needed to hear her. And maybe, just maybe, hearing herself would help Maya believe in her own worth again. That evening, Lily returned to the school after most people had gone home. She waited in the hallway, pretending to organize her sheet music. When Maya stepped into the rehearsal room again to do her final cleaning, Lily quietly moved closer. This time, Maya hesitated for a long moment before she allowed herself to sit at the piano. Her hands trembled slightly as she placed them on the keys. But when she finally began to play, her fears melted into the music. The melody grew into something full and emotional. Lily lifted her phone and started recording. Her heart pounded, not from fear, but from excitement. She knew she was capturing something powerful, something real. Maya's music filled the room with beauty so strong it felt like the walls were listening. When Maya finished, she sighed softly, unaware that her life had just begun to change. The next morning, Maya walked into the school with her usual quiet steps. not knowing that something had already begun to shift around her. Students whispered in the hallways, but none of the whispers were about her. Not yet. She carried her mop bucket and cleaning cloths, trying to ignore the heaviness in her chest. Yesterday's small moment of music still warmed her heart, but Mr. Collister's harsh words still echoed louder. Lily, on the other hand, could barely sit still in her piano class. Her mind kept replaying Maya's melody. She had listened to the recording 3 times before even leaving for school that morning. The sound was gentle, emotional, and unlike anything she had ever heard from a beginner. It had the heart of a memory and the soul of a story. She needed to show Maya how incredible she truly was. But she had to be careful. Maya was shy, quiet, and easily frightened by attention. After lunch, Lily searched for her. She finally found Maya in the main hallway, polishing doorknobs with slow, careful hands. Lily stepped forward, her heart beating fast. "Maya," she said softly. Maya looked up with surprise. "Oh, Lily, did you forget something in the rehearsal room?" "No," Lily said, taking a deep breath. I heard you playing yesterday." Maya froze. Her hands stopped moving. The cloth slipped from her fingers and fell to the floor. Her face turned pale. "You heard me?" she whispered. "Yes," Lily answered gently. "And Maya, you play beautifully." Maya shook her head quickly. No, it was nothing. I shouldn't have touched the piano. I was cleaning, and—" "You weren't cleaning," Lily said softly. "You were playing from your heart. And it was better than most of the students in this whole school." Maya's eyes filled with panic. "Lily, please. Don't tell anyone. I can't lose my job. Mr. Collister already warned me. If the director finds out, I won't tell them," Lily promised. "But Maya, I think you should listen to something." She reached into her pocket and pulled out her phone. Maya's breath stopped. "You recorded me?" Lily nodded slowly. "Yes, because I knew you wouldn't believe me unless you heard it yourself. Please, just listen." Maya wanted to walk away. She wanted to cry. She wanted to pretend yesterday never happened. But she saw the honesty in Lily's eyes, the hope, the excitement. Something inside Maya softened. She nodded quietly. Lily pressed play. The melody filled the empty hallway. Even through the tiny phone speaker, Maya's music sounded full of emotion, pain, fear, longing, warmth. Maya heard it and felt her heart open like a door she had kept locked for years. She pressed a hand over her mouth. Tears welled in her eyes. "I played that?" she whispered. "Yes," Lily said. "That's you. And it's beautiful." Maya wiped her tears with the back of her hand. She felt like she was seeing herself for the first time in years. She didn't sound like a janitor touching forbidden keys. She sounded like someone who belonged at that piano. Someone who had a story to share. "But no one wants to hear me play," Maya said softly. "That's not true," Lily replied. "I want to hear you. And I know many others would too." Maya shook her head in disbelief. She didn't trust herself enough to imagine anything bigger than her simple life. She didn't dare dream that her music might matter to anyone. Then Lily said something that Maya's heart trembled. "Maya, I uploaded the audio last night." Maya's eyes widened in shock. "You what?" "I didn't show your face," Lily said quickly. "I didn't even say your name. I just called you the unknown pianist. I wanted to see if anyone would hear what I heard." Maya felt dizzy. "Lily, why would you do that? What if people think it's silly? What if they laugh?" "They're not laughing," Lily said. "The video has over 10,000 plays. People are asking who the pianist is. They're saying the music feels real, honest, special." Maya's legs nearly gave out. She leaned against the wall for support. She couldn't understand what she was hearing. How could her quiet, secret melody reach so many people? Lily stepped closer and touched Maya's hand gently. "You have a gift," she said. "And no one, not even Mr. Collister, gets to bury it." For the first time in a very long time, Maya felt something rise inside her. Not fear, not shame, something like hope, something like courage, something like music itself. Waking up again, Maya barely slept that night. She lay awake staring at the ceiling, her mind filled with thoughts she never imagined she would have. People had listened to her music. Not just her mother from long ago. Not just the quiet walls of the empty rehearsal room. Real people, strangers, thousands of them. It felt unreal. It felt frightening. It felt like standing at the edge of a cliff where one step could mean flying or falling. By morning, her stomach was tight with nerves. She checked her phone more times than she wanted to admit. The video Lily posted now had over 30,000 plays. Comments from listeners filled the page. "This pianist has so much emotion. Whoever she is, she must have lived a life full of pain and beauty. Please find her. This is real talent. This music healed something inside me." Maya read them in disbelief. Tears slipped down her face. She had never felt important before. Never felt seen. Never felt heard. She had always been the quiet janitor in the background. Invisible in every room. Now, people were listening to her without even knowing her name. When she arrived at the school later that morning, Lily was waiting for her near the entrance. Her eyes sparkled with excitement, but she also looked worried. She knew Maya wasn't used to this kind of attention. "Maya," Lily whispered. "The video has passed 50,000 plays." Maya almost dropped her bag. 50,000? Lily nodded. "And people are sharing it everywhere. I think they feel the same thing I felt when I first heard you." Before Maya could respond, two music teachers walked past them, talking loudly. "Have you heard that viral piano clip?" One said, "Whoever that player is, they have incredible expression. Better than some of our own students," the other replied. Maya froze. Her heart raced. She looked at Lily with fear, but Lily only squeezed her hand gently. "No one knows it's you," she said. "But they already love your music." They walked together through the hallways, but Maya felt strangely exposed. Everywhere she looked, she wondered if the students whispering in corners were talking about the mysterious, unknown pianist. Part of her wanted to hide. Another part of her felt something dangerous, hope, rising like a small flame. That afternoon, Maya returned to the rehearsal room to finish cleaning. She moved more carefully now, as if the piano was no longer forbidden but sacred. She hesitated before touching the keys, afraid of getting caught again. But when she pressed a single note, it felt like her heart answered back. Then the door opened. Maya gasped and pulled her hands away immediately. She turned around expecting Mr. Collister's angry face, ready for another lecture, but instead it was Ms. Helena, the school director. She was a calm woman, respected by everyone. Maya's fear grew even stronger. If Mr. Collister had complained about her touching the piano, she might lose her job today. "Maya," Ms. Helena said softly. "May I ask you something?" Maya swallowed hard. "Yes, ma'am. Were you the one playing yesterday evening?" Maya's breath left her body. She couldn't form words. She stared at the floor, her heart pounding like a drum. Ms. Helena stepped inside the room and closed the door gently behind her. "I'm not here to scold you," she said. "I stayed late last night to finish some paperwork, and I heard someone playing. The music was extraordinary." Maya shook her head quickly. "No, ma'am. It wasn't me. I just clean the rooms." "I don't." "Please," Ms. Helena interrupted softly. "Don't hide it. I know what I heard." Tears filled Maya's eyes. She felt like someone had opened the world's heaviest secret. "I'm sorry," Maya whispered. "I know I shouldn't touch the piano. I just missed playing. My mother taught me when I was young. After she passed away, I had no one to guide me." Ms. Helena walked closer, her expression gentle and full of warmth. "Maya," she said, "you have a gift that cannot stay hidden. Do you know the video of the unknown pianist going viral online?" Maya stiffened. "Yes. I saw it. That was you, wasn't it?" Maya closed her eyes. She felt the truth slipping out of her control. Ms. Helena looked at her with admiration, not anger. Not judgment, admiration. "I want you to play in our upcoming school recital," she said. Maya's breath caught in her throat. "Me? No, ma'am. I couldn't. People will laugh. Mr. Collister will." "Let me worry about Mr. Collister," Miss Helena said calmly. "You belong on that stage. And I will make sure you are treated with the respect you deserve." Maya felt her legs weaken. She grabbed the edge of the piano for support. She had dreamed of being on a stage once, long ago. But she never believed the world would allow someone like her, someone with no money, no teacher, no confidence to step into the light. Now a door had opened. Door she never thought she would be invited to walk through. And inside her chest, the small flame of hope grew stronger. Maya walked out of the rehearsal room that day, feeling as if her legs were made of air. She could hardly breathe. Ms. Helena's words replayed again and again in her mind. "You belong on that stage." No one had ever said something like that to her. No one had ever believed in her dreams louder than her fears. Yet the idea frightened her more than anything. Performing on stage? In front of the whole school? In front of Mr. Collister? Her chest tightened just thinking about it. She returned to her cleaning duties, but every time she picked up a mop or wiped a window, her mind drifted back to the piano. She imagined the warm lights of the auditorium, the whispering audience, the heavy silence before the first note. Her hands trembled. She wondered if she would fail. She wondered if the world would laugh when they learned the unknown pianist was just the janitor. By the end of the day, her head felt heavy with doubt. She walked home slowly, replaying her mother's voice in her heart. Her mother used to say, "Courage is just a small light. But even a small light can guide you through the dark." Maya wanted to believe that. She really did. When she stepped into her tiny apartment, she sat in front of her old keyboard. She pressed the power button. The faint buzzing sound filled the room. She touched the keys, letting her fingers wander, unsure of what to play. But the melody came to her like water flowing toward the sea, natural, familiar, unstoppable. She played until her heart felt lighter, as if music was stitching her fears back together. The next day at the school, the whispers grew louder. Students were talking about the viral clip again. The views had crossed 100,000. Even teachers were discussing it in the break room. Maya tried to stay invisible, but Lily kept watching her carefully, making sure she was okay. Finally, during a quiet moment between classes, Lily approached her again. "Maya," she said, "the video hit 150,000 plays this morning." Maya's jaw dropped. "But why? Why would so many people listen to me?" "Because you play with your heart," Lily said simply. "People feel it." Maya shook her head. "I'm not ready for any of this." "Yes, you are," Lily insisted. "And Ms. Helena thinks so too." The mention of the director made Maya's stomach twist. She remembered the offer to perform in the recital. She couldn't stop thinking about it. It stayed with her as she swept the hallways, as she emptied trash bins, as she cleaned fingerprints off mirrors. Later that afternoon, she was cleaning near the staff room when she overheard two teachers talking. "I heard Ms. Helena wants to add a surprise performer to the recital," one said. "Oh. Who? A new guest teacher?" "No, someone from inside the school." Maya felt her pulse quicken. She stepped away before they noticed her listening. Shortly after, Ms. Helena found her in the hallway. "Maya," she said gently, "have you thought about what I asked?" Maya swallowed hard. "I'm scared," she admitted. "That's normal," Ms. Helena said. Everyone is scared before their first performance. But I'll help you. Lily will help you. You won't be alone." Maya hesitated. She imagined herself on the stage. She imagined the audience staring at her. She imagined her hands shaking, the notes falling apart, the shame. But then she imagined something else, her mother smiling, whispering, "Play, Maya. Your music is bigger than your fear." She took a deep breath. I'll try," she said softly. Ms. Helena smiled warmly. That's all I wanted to hear. For the rest of the day, Lily couldn't stop smiling. "You're really doing it," she whispered happily. "You're going to show everyone who you are." But not everyone shared Lily's excitement. Mr. Collister heard the rumor too. He cornered Ms. Helena after a meeting. His face was tight with frustration. "Who is this surprise performer you're adding?" he demanded. "A recital is not a place for untrained amateurs." Ms. Helena looked at him calmly. "You'll see." "I hope you're not planning something reckless," he said sharply. "Standards must be maintained." "You don't need to worry," she replied. "The performer is more skilled than you think." Mr. Collister scoffed and walked away, still annoyed. But deep inside, he felt uneasy. Something about the mysterious viral pianist bothered him. Something about the director's confidence bothered him even more. Meanwhile, Maya continued practicing in secret. She played late into the night on her old keyboard, learning to control the trembling in her fingers. She played after finishing her cleaning shift, letting her music grow stronger. She played until she could feel the melody in her bones, instead of her fear. The recital was only a few days away, and for the first time in a long time, Maya felt that maybe, just maybe, she deserved to be heard. The night of the recital arrived faster than Maya expected. All week she had been practicing, trying to calm the fear that kept rising inside her chest. She told no one about her late-night rehearsals, not even Lily. Every evening after work, she would hurry home, switch on her old keyboard, and play until her fingers grew tired. Sometimes she made mistakes, sometimes she froze, sometimes she lost confidence, but she never stopped. She wanted to honor her mother. She wanted to honor the part of herself she had hidden for too long. When she entered the school auditorium that evening, her breath caught in her throat. The room was huge. Rows and rows of seats filled with parents, teachers, and students. The stage lights shone so brightly that she could see them even from backstage. She had never stood on a real stage before. Her hands trembled as she held her small music notebook. Even though she had memorized her piece already, Lily found her just before the show started. She ran toward Maya and hugged her tightly. "You're going to be amazing," Lily whispered. "I'm scared," Maya whispered back. Lily pulled away and looked her in the eyes. "Everyone is scared before they do something important." Those words felt like a small flame warming Maya's chest. Meanwhile, outside in the audience, Mr. Collister was seated in the front row. His arms crossed, his expression sharp. He had heard the rumors. He knew the director planned a surprise performer. He also knew that a janitor had no place in a recital meant for trained students. He had no idea the unknown pianist was standing backstage with shaking hands and a heart full of courage. The recital began. Students performed one by one: violins, flutes, singers, pianists. The audience clapped politely after each performance. Maya watched from behind the curtain, wishing she could disappear. Her stomach twisted with fear. She wiped her palms on her dress, but they kept sweating. Finally, Ms. Helena stepped onto the stage. "Before our final performance," she announced, "I would like to introduce someone very special. Someone whose music has touched thousands of hearts." The audience murmured, confused. "In our school," she continued, "we believe that talent can come from anywhere. Tonight, you will hear a musician who reminds us all that true art comes from the soul." Lily squeezed Maya's shoulder. "Go," she whispered. Maya felt her legs weaken. Her heart pounded so loudly she was sure everyone could hear it. But she stepped forward, Slowly, carefully. The audience gasped when they saw her. "That's the janitor." Someone whispered, "What is she doing here?" Another asked. Mr. Collister shot to his feet. "This is a mistake," he said loudly to Miss Helena. "She's not trained." "She cannot." "Sit down, Mr. Collister," Miss Helena said firmly. "Let her speak." Maya approached the piano. Her hands trembled so hard she thought she might drop her music notebook. She placed it gently on the piano, though she didn't need it. She sat down on the bench, took a deep breath, and closed her eyes. The room fell silent. For a moment, she heard nothing but her heartbeat, loud, fast, fearful. Then she remembered her mother's voice. "Play, Maya. Your music knows the way." She opened her eyes and pressed the first key. A soft note filled the room, gentle as a whisper. Then another, and another. Her fingers found the melody she had practiced every night. At first, they shook. The notes were fragile. But slowly, as the music grew, something inside her began to change. Her fear melted into the sound. Her doubt faded into the melody. Her heart took over. The audience sat frozen. Every person in the room felt something different, a memory, a wound, a hope, a quiet moment they had forgotten. Her music wasn't perfect in a technical sense, but it was perfect in its honesty. It carried pain. It carried love. It carried healing. Even Mr. Collister couldn't look away. His expression changed from annoyance to disbelief. His jaw dropped. His eyes softened. He knew instantly that he had been wrong terribly, shamefully wrong. When Maya reached the final note, she held it gently, letting it echo through the hall like a soft goodbye. Then silence for a second. No one moved. Then the entire room rose to its feet. The applause thundered through the auditorium. People cheered. Some students cried. Parents looked at each other in awe. The sound washed over Maya like a wave of light. She had never felt anything so powerful in her life. Lily ran to her and hugged her tightly. Miss Helena smiled proudly. Even teachers who barely noticed Maya before looked at her with respect. And Mr. Collister stood frozen, staring at the woman he once told to stick to cleaning. For the first time in years, Maya felt seen. For the first time in her life, she felt like she belonged. The applause still echoed in Maya's ears as she stepped off the stage, her heart pounding so hard she felt dizzy. Lily held her tightly, repeating, "You did it, Maya. You really did it." Maya could hardly speak. Her hands shook, but not from fear this time, from relief, from joy, from something deep inside breaking free after years of silence. Parents came to her backstage, thanking her for her performance. Some told her her music reminded them of forgotten memories. One elderly woman even wiped tears from her eyes and whispered, "Your playing healed something in me tonight." Maya felt overwhelmed. She had never imagined that her music could touch so many people, but one person still hadn't spoken to her. Mr. Collister, when she finally saw him walking toward her from the corner of the room. Her breath caught. His expression was unreadable, neither angry nor cold. His steps were slow, almost hesitant, as if he carried a weight he didn't know how to put down. Lily noticed him first and moved aside, giving Maya space. "Maya," he said quietly. She straightened, nervous but steady. She expected criticism, maybe a long lecture about rules, but instead, he looked smaller, as though something inside him had broken too, but in a different way. "I didn't recognize your gift," he admitted. His voice had lost its usual sharpness. "I misjudged you. I spoke to you in a way no teacher should ever speak to anyone." Maya blinked. She had never heard him use a gentle tone before. "Mr. Collister." "No," he interrupted softly, lifting a hand. "Let me finish." He took a breath, forcing the words out. "I told you to stick to cleaning. I told you you would never understand music. I was wrong. Deeply wrong." Maya's eyes filled with tears, not because his apology hurt, but because she had waited years to hear someone say she was worth more than the world had allowed her to believe. Mr. Collister lowered his gaze. When you played tonight, I felt something I haven't felt from my own students in years. I felt honesty, pain, courage. You reminded me why I became a music teacher in the first place. Maya didn't know what to say. No one had ever spoken to her like this. Then he did something no one expected. He bowed his head. I want to apologize, he said quietly. Truly, I treated you unfairly. The room grew still. A few teachers standing nearby looked shocked. No one had ever seen the strict instructor speak with such humility. Maya took a shaky breath. I forgive you, she said. Not because she had to, but because she wanted to. Holding on to anger would only dim the light she worked so hard to find. Mr. Collister lifted his eyes, relief softening his face. Thank you, he said, and if you ever want guidance, lessons, anything, I would be honored to help you. Maya smiled gently. She didn't know whether she needed lessons, but she appreciated the offer. It was not the offer itself that mattered. It was the acknowledgement of her worth. After he stepped away, Lily rushed back to her side. Maya. I think he almost cried, Lily whispered. Maya laughed quietly. Maybe music softened him a little. But the evening was far from over. A reporter from the local newspaper appeared backstage, holding a notepad. Excuse me, she said to Maya. We heard a rumor that the viral unknown pianist might be here tonight. That performance. Was it you? Maya froze. Lily looked at her with wide eyes. Ms. Helena stepped in. If Maya is willing, she can tell her story, she said. Maya felt her heart race. She looked at Lily, who nodded encouragingly. She looked at the reporter, who waited patiently. Then she looked at her own hands that had cleaned floors for years, hands that had played melodies in secret, hands that now trembled not with fear but with possibility. Yes, Maya said softly. It was me. The reporter's eyes lit up. Your performance has touched thousands online. People want to know who you are. I'm just someone who loves music, Maya replied. Not just anything, Lily added proudly. She's a real musician. That night, Maya gave her first interview. She talked about her mother, her old keyboard, her fears, her dreams. She spoke honestly, her voice gentle but strong. And throughout the interview, people gathered around her, students, teachers, families listening with respect. For the first time in her life, she wasn't invisible. When she finally left the auditorium, the stars looked brighter than she remembered. She walked home with Lily by her side, feeling lighter, taller, fuller. But the biggest change was not the applause, not the interview, not the recognition. The biggest change was inside her. For the first time ever, Maya believed she deserved to shine. In the days that followed the recital, Maya's life changed in ways she had never imagined. What began as a quiet performance turned into something much bigger. The local newspaper published a full story about her. Janitor's music brings audience to tears. Photos of her sitting at the grand piano filled the pages. Schools in nearby towns started sharing the article. Students who once walked past her without noticing now smiled and greeted her with respect. Some even asked for her autograph, which made her laugh shyly each time. But the biggest surprise came a week later, when the viral audio clip finally reached a national music blog. They connected it to the newspaper story, and suddenly the entire country knew about the unknown pianist who turned out to be a janitor with a natural gift. Radio hosts talked about her. A TV reporter contacted the school, asking to interview her. Maya felt overwhelmed, but she also felt something else. She felt worthy. Ms. Helena called Maya into her office the following afternoon. Her smile was warm, proud, and full of excitement. Maya, she said, I have something for you. She slid an envelope across the desk. Maya stared at it hesitantly before opening it. Inside was a scholarship form, full tuition for a professional music certification program at the regional conservatory. Maya's breath stopped. "I don't understand," she whispered. "You earned it," Ms. Helena said. "They saw your performance. They saw your story. And they want you." Maya pressed a hand to her mouth as tears gathered in her eyes. "But I'm too old. And I never finished proper training." "And Maya," Ms. Helena interrupted gently, "music has no age limit. And you have more talent than many trained students. This is your chance." Maya cried openly, not from sadness, but from the overwhelming feeling of being seen, supported, and believed in. "That's not all," Ms. Helena continued. "Your job here is still open to you, of course, but we would also like to hire you as a part-time music assistant. You'll help students practice, guide beginners, share your gift." Maya almost fell back into her chair. Music assistant?" she whispered. "Yes," the director said. "You belong in the music room, not just cleaning it." Those words broke something inside Maya, the part of her that always felt small, invisible, unimportant. Now it melted away, replaced by warmth and possibility. When she walked out of the office, Lily was waiting in the hallway, bouncing with excitement. "Well?" Lily asked. "What happened?" Maya wiped her eyes and smiled. "Everything." They hugged, laughing and crying at the same time. Over the next few weeks, Maya began her lessons at the conservatory. She traveled twice a week, nervous at first, but quickly realizing that she fit in more than she expected. Her teachers were impressed by her emotional expression and natural timing. Some even asked how long she had been studying. "Since I was little," she answered honestly. But life stopped the lessons for a while. On evenings when she wasn't attending classes, she worked at the music school, no longer just as a janitor, but as someone students looked up to. She helped beginners learn simple melodies. She guided a nervous young pianist through her first recital piece. She shared stories about perseverance without ever making them feel weak. Mr. Collister also changed. He never spoke to her with arrogance again. Instead, he offered her books, sheet music, and encouragement. He listened to her play without criticism and asked her questions, as if she were a colleague, not a subordinate. One day he said, "You reminded me what teaching is supposed to feel like," and Maya never forgot those words. Months passed, and Maya's confidence grew. By summer, she was invited to perform at a small local concert. The audience applauded her with the same energy she once feared, but now she welcomed it. She walked off the stage knowing she had earned her place. She still woke up early and cleaned the school once a week, not because she had to, but because she wanted to remember where she came from. Standing in the empty rehearsal room, she would touch the piano with gratitude, remembering the night her life changed. But the biggest change of all happened inside her heart. She no longer believed she was just a janitor. She no longer saw her dreams as foolish or impossible. She no longer heard the cruel words that once broke her spirit. Now, she heard music, her music guiding her forward. One evening, after finishing a lesson with Lily, Maya walked to the piano and played the same melody she had once played when she thought no one was listening. But this time, she wasn't hiding. This time, she wasn't afraid. Students gathered around quietly, listening with admiration. "Maya," Lily whispered, "your story is incredible." Maya smiled through the soft glow of the piano lights. "My story," she said, "is just beginning."